Welcome back to Cossy Arsenal Podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. After 4 years, Nicolas Pepe has now left Arsenal for 3 million to Trabzospor in Turkey. The deal is done. The relationship between Nicolas Pepe and Arsenal is finally over. I want your thoughts. I want your opinions about Nicolas Pepe. Rate his signing out of 10. Rate his time at Arsenal out of 10. 27 goals and 21 assists within a space of 4 years at Arsenal. 3 years as an Arsenal player, and of course 1 year on loan last campaign in the French Ligue 1. Is he the worst signing Arsenal have ever made? Now, of course, in the comment box below, I want your thoughts about who is the worst signing Arsenal have ever made in your opinion, especially in the last 10 years. So we've had the likes of Alexander Runarsson, we've had the likes of Andre Santos, Sylvester from Man United, Stefan Lichtsteiner from Juve, and Nicolas Pepe as well, plus Mustafi, plus Skoran Mustafi as well. I've actually just remembered Mustafi must be among the worst signings Arsenal have actually ever made. So let me know in the comment box below, is Nicolas Pepe the worst signing Arsenal have ever made, and how would you rate his time at Arsenal, out of 10? Because personally, I think there is so much talk about Nicolas Pepe. Before we get into he was a bad player, he actually never performed well at Arsenal, there are so many factors to consider when it comes to Nicolas Pepe. And why don't we right away dive into those factors? Hit the like button. Let's get this video to 300 likes. Now, let's start off with this one. Nicolas Pepe was signed in 2019 in the summer for a manager, Unai Emery, then at Arsenal. A manager who never at one point in time rated Nicolas Pepe, a manager who never at one point in time asked for the signing of Nicolas Pepe. And that's where the problem started, right? That's where the problem started, and it's that transfer, that signing is purely indicative of the standards Arsenal had then. We could go and sign a player that we've literally not followed for any period of time, a player that we've not scouted for any kind of period of time. As long as the player has good numbers, as long as the player has had a good spell, we could sign him. And our transfer window by then was an absolute shambles. So if there is a reason why I would feel something for Nicolas Pepe, why I think something, why I think Nicolas Pepe is not 100% to blame for this move, actually to blame for the fact that he has been a catastrophic flop at Arsenal, that reason is the manager who actually asked for Wilfried Zaha was given Nicolas Pepe. So the full story was that Unai Emery wanted a wide forward. We know how much he loves wide forwards. You look at wherever he's been, at Villarreal, the likes of Chikwueze, the likes of now Donjuma as well. Then you look at Aston Villa right now, and Moussa Diaby coming through the door. Leon Bailey obviously was found in that position, but of course he would have signed him if Leon Bailey was still at Bayer Leverkusen. So he loves wide forwards. There's no question about that. He loves players that are absolutely very, very capable on the left and also on the right-hand side of the pitch. So he asked for Wilfried Zaha, and by that time, Wilfried Zaha was in his prime. Wilfried Zaha was one of the players you could think about, and you think about a big move, right? 2019, 2020, Wilfried Zaha was set for a big move. He was set for the next big thing in his career. So Unai Emery had scouted and spotted him to be the next big signing as a winger for Arsenal. However, the club decided that, no, we are going to give you this guy. We are going to give you Nicolas Pepe for £72 million. Mind you, at the time, Crystal Palace were asking for around, I think, £80 million, I think, in that region. And Arsenal decided they will not sign a Premier League proven winger, but they will go and sign a guy that has that was on fire at Lille, and that is all they knew. They knew nothing about him. All they knew was he was on fire at Lille Metropole, and that was enough. So this signing was a mistake right from the start. And we all can blame Nicolas Pepe. We all can actually turn our backs on Nicolas Pepe. But this signing was never meant to happen. If Arsenal do as Unai Emery wanted, if they did as as the manager had asked, then I think Wilfred Zaha would have been the Arsenal player, and Nicolas Pepe probably would have been a replacement of Wilfred Zaha at Crystal Palace. So that is number one. Number two, the 70 million. Now, of course, there was some kind of shady business in this deal. There's no way you can convince anyone that you have signed Nicolas Pepe, a breakout star, for 72 million euros. Like, it's the most, I don't know, it's the most crazy thing any club could ever claim. It's the craziest thing anyone could ever claim, that you're signing a breakout star for 72 million euros. Even in this day and age, even this crazy market, it doesn't happen often, right? But 2019, that is when the markets were still stable. That is when the markets were still a little bit much better. And Arsenal going to spend 72 million euros or pounds on a breakout star, on a guy that had one good campaign, which was not even, he was not Suarez. He was not Robin de Falcao. He was not Thierry Henry. He was bloody Nicolas Pepe. And you spent 72 million. So after a couple of years, there were a few accusations here and there that there was some kind of shady money laundering in that deal. Some people actually did the deal. They overvaluated Nicolas Pepe in order for that money to go into their pockets. And I'm not going to come here and accuse anyone, because there were no further investigations held. But I'm going to say, I believe the story. I really believe that someone took advantage of Arsenal's finances and they signed Nicolas Pepe for a very exorbitant, highly escalated price. He was never 72 million. He was never worth that much. So that also is not on Nicolas Pepe. Now, those are the two things I wanted to say about Pepe before we get into the criticism. He was never a 72 million pound signing, and therefore he should not be blamed. He should not be, crucified for all the crazy things that happened. Number two, he was never wanted by the manager. No manager at Arsenal has come in and has showed us that he's a big fan of Nicolas Pepe. Yeah, maybe you could say Mikel Arteta came in, gave him a chance, because look at what Saka is doing and what Nicolas Pepe has to do. Very similar, but the energy is different. The standards Mikel Arteta requires in this Arsenal side, the ability on the ball, the fluidity, the tenacity is very different. Saka is 100 miles per hour, while Nicolas Pepe is 10 miles per hour. That is the kind of speed, that's the kind of energy we are talking about here. So I don't blame Nicolas Pepe 100%. I kind of feel like this deal actually caught him by surprise as well, and it was never happened. So how would I rate his signing? Before we get into his time, how would I rate his signing out of 10? Let's go with a 3.5. Because 21 assists and 27 goals, that is not a bad tally. There are players that have actually not reached that, and there are players that do not have the ability and hope to actually reach that. So look at Jadon Sancho at Man United, you look at Anthony at Manchester United, and you've got to say, we are lucky. We are lucky that Nicolas Pepe actually had 27 goals and 21 assists. And there was a month, I think that was in 2020. 2022, the campaign, where he was voted player of the month. I think with Nicolas Pepe, there were times where you could see those little glimpses of quality, and the times where he was absolutely off. He was really off. So I would say 3.5 out of 10. Not the worst signing, right? Not the worst signing. Like I've said, Stefan Lichtsteiner for me and Sylvester from Manchester United, one of them is our worst signings. And I'm going to say that worst signing is Sylvester. Yeah, that worst signing for me is Sylvester. I've looked at the others, Runarsson as well. Runarsson is just a blunder. Like, it's a blunder, it happens. Andre Santos, yeah, we thought he was good. He was never good. But with Sylvester, for us to go to Man United and cautiously ask for Sylvester, that is the worst Arsenal have done. So it's the worst signing. Nicolas Pepe's time at Arsenal, It's not even been a roller coaster of emotions. It has been a decline. Like, it's been a decline. So when we signed him, many of us didn't know much about him. By that time, I actually didn't watch any of his clips. I didn't watch nothing about Nicolas Pepe. So when we signed him, I actually assumed that Arsenal had gone for some kind of crazy transfer. This kinds of transfers where Eden Hazard comes from the French League One and comes up to light the Premier League. Where Oscar comes from wherever he's come from and comes up to light the Premier League, right? Where Sami Nasri comes from Olympique Marseille and comes up to Arsenal to light the Premier League. That is the kind of signing I thought Nicolas Pepe was. And I was very optimistic and I was very, very confident that because it's coming from such a lower league and there is no expectation for him to keep a consistent tally of goals and assists, he was actually going to play a confident role and he was going to be a much better player. I was absolutely wrong. I was very, very wrong. 100 times wrong. I cannot even imagine how wrong I was. Pepe came in, and I think the first thing that happened was the price tag taking a huge toll on him. I don't remember Nicolas Pepe playing as confident as a player who cost anywhere between 30 and above million. Even Alex Iwobi put in performances at Everton that attracted Fulham to buy him. Even Alexander Iwobi. Guys, even Iwobi put in performances last campaign and everyone said he is their best player. He is their best player. Keep him. It never happened for Nicolas Pepe. It just couldn't happen for Nicolas Pepe. And for me, if it was the price tag that actually hindered his progress, if it was the price tag that hindered the trajectory of his career, I would take a moment at this point in time in this video. I would love to apologize on behalf of Arsenal to Nicolas Pepe. We are very sorry for buying you at 72 million and spoiling your career. You are never a 72 million pound. So pound signing. So the big question is, would Nicolas Pepe have been a much better player if there wasn't all this kind of pressure, 72 million and record signing? Would he have been a much better player? I would say yes. Maybe not massively better, but I think Pepe would have been a much better player if emotionally he was not, bombarded by all these. You are our record signing. You are a 72 million pound player, and therefore you've got to deliver. But then we've also got to understand one or two things. When did Nicolas Pepe sign for Arsenal, and when did Arsenal really become better? 2018-2019, Arsenal is a disaster. 2019-2020, Arsenal is a disaster. 2021-2022, Arsenal is a disaster. 2022-2023, when Arsenal become much better, he's out on loan in France. So, however much we're going to blame Nicolas Pepe for whatever happened, he has not played in a fluid Arsenal system. He has not played in in a good Arsenal system. So you look at this Arsenal system right now, and you've got to ask the question: if Arsenal kept him, if Arsenal really kept him around, would he turn his fortunes around? Because they're much better players behind him. They're much better players in front of him. When he signed for Arsenal, Hector Bellerin was right back. I think it was, I just don't remember the left back. Sid Kolasinac was at left back. You look at the centre back pairing of David Luiz and Papa, right? Then you look at that midfield, the dreaded midfield of Guendouzi, Xhaka. At the time, that midfield was one of the worst in the Premier League, and Ceballos. So, Nicolas Pepe was never Jesus. He was never the Son of God. And therefore, I didn't expect him to come and do wonders at Arsenal. So, my overall summation in this one, guys, as we say the last about Pepe at Arsenal, Not a memorable journey, not a memorable 4 years. 4 years to forget, by the way, for me, if you are a Nicola Pepe fan or if you're Nicola Pepe, it is 4 years to forget. But I'll be very delighted that I have this jersey because it reminds me very much of Nicola Pepe. It really, really does. That's why I love it. Even when it has lost the words, even when it has lost the Emirates words, I love the jersey. It just reminds me of Nicola Pepe. There was a player in there, no question, but the standards that Mikel Arteta implemented at Arsenal meant that he didn't have a career anymore. But anyway, talk to me in the comment box below. Was he the worst signing we have ever made, Nicola Pepe?